Let's solve some 17 cube problems. In this one, white is surrounded and black should find the best way to capture this white group. Pause the video and try to figure out the best move for black. The correct solution is B3. This is Atari on the 5 white stones, and if white connects, the whole group will still only have 1 liberty and we are able to capture on A2. And if white plays anything else, we will just capture on C3. So let's play this out. B3, white connects, we capture, we're happy. So that's quite a clear solution. If white plays anything else, we're captured like this. But what's more interesting is consider what happens if we play A2 instead. This may have been a solution some of you were thinking of. In this position, white cannot play B3 or C3. Both of those would be self-Atari. And if white plays elsewhere, black can just play Atari and everything is going to die. So white's only move here, after we play A2 as the first move, is to capture on A1. And now the situation is a co-fight. So black cannot play anything locally. The co-rule prevents black from playing B1 immediately, because that would repeat the position we just had one move ago before white captured. And if black plays B3, white just captures. So now black doesn't have any local move, but black could, if black had a co-threat elsewhere on the board, a move that white needs to respond to. Let's say this was Atari on a big group and white needs to respond, then black could take back. And if white doesn't have such a co-threat elsewhere on the board, white tries to play elsewhere but black can ignore it, then black can kill it. So this would depend on who had more threats elsewhere on the board, what would happen in this local situation. In some games it would be possible for black to kill like this, but since it depends on the rest of the board, it's not as good as killing outright with a move like B3. With this one, white is just going to be dead no matter what sort of threats are available elsewhere on the board. So if you're solving a problem and think you see a move that should be a solution, it seems like it's possible, but it depends on threats elsewhere on the board, then you're probably missing an alternate solution that doesn't require any threats. Here we have a surrounded white group, and again, black should find a way to kill this white group. There are already 3 white stones in Atari, these 3 ones here, but we should not be distracted by them because they are not actually important for the eye shape of the white group. White cannot create an eye down here, so it's kind of unimportant what happens to these stones. More important is that white already has 1 eye on A3 and could make another eye on A1 by playing B1. So if we capture the 3 stones, white will play B1 and be alive. But if we play B1, now white only has 1 eye on A3 and we're going to get to kill everything at the end of the game. So we shouldn't be happy with just taking 3 stones when we can get everything by playing B1. Okay, here we have a white group and black group that are both sort of cut off. They're in a capturing race. So can you find a way for black to win this capturing race and kill the white stones? The correct move here is the D1 Atari. After this Atari, if white connects, we can just play inside this eye shape here to reduce the liberties, and we will be able to kill the white group. And if white had played anything else than connecting here, we would just play B1 ourselves, and again, we would get to capture the white stones. So D1 is clearly working. You may have also been looking at B1 or possibly A1, so let's look at those. Let's maybe start with A1. This is sometimes a good move to reduce liberties as well. It's sort of setting up so that if black next plays D1, for instance, we can see this A1 stone is already working to reduce the liberties. So in similar shapes, A1 could be the right move. But in this case, white will play E1. And now, even though it's 2 liberties for black, 2 liberties for white, and black to move, it's actually not possible for black to play anything else here. All the blacks move are self-Atari. You see A3 self-Atari, B1 self-Atari, D1 self-Atari. So just nothing is working for black. So A1 doesn't work. And if black plays B1 as the first move, white will capture. Now it's a co-shape. If black had co-threats elsewhere on the board, black could maybe play this way, but black wouldn't like to rely on these code threats if black can avoid it. And let's see, we can also have here, after black plays here, white plays here. If black doesn't want to play a code threat, black can play Atari, then white can capture here, black takes, and now if white had a code threat elsewhere on the board, white would be able to play that threat, and then white would take back, and in the future white could play e3 and again fight the code. So like right now black plays just a random move elsewhere, could be a code threat, could be just any move. White still cannot connect on b1, white will play e3, black takes, white finds another code threat and then takes back. So this is actually quite a difficult code for white to fight. White needs potentially to ignore one black threat and needs to have two white threats of their own. So it's quite possible that black could, in a real game, kill this group by playing this, but it's still not as good as just killing it outright with d1. This is still a cleaner, easier way for black to kill, where you don't have to worry about the threats elsewhere on the board. Okay, we just went up to 16 cues. We'll make this the last problem. Now we have a surrounded black group. We should find a way to create two eyes with this black group. And this is quite tricky, so carefully consider all the different black moves here and check which one is able to create two eyes. There's only one correct solution. Let's look at them one at a time. If we play a2, white will play c1, we will capture on b1, and then white will play c3, and it will be a false eye. So here, 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 and it's a false eye. So that's not good. If we play b1, let's see, white can play the c3 Atari. We cannot connect on c1 because then this whole group would be an Atari, so we have to capture on a2. White will play c1, and it will be a false eye. If we play c1, white will Atari on c3, and we cannot save the two stones. So none of those are working. And in fact, the correct move is c3. It looks like white can connect this stone here. It seems like maybe black cannot cut here because this is self-Atari for black, but actually black can cut here. Black cuts, white captures, black plays a snapback on b1. White captures, and black takes back. So let's look at that again. This is quite complicated. So in this position, the way for black to capture this one white stone is to play here, putting the two black stones into Atari, but even after white captures, black is able to play b1 again, and now after white captures, black just takes the stones off the board. So this is a very tricky shape if you haven't seen it before, but this is comes up quite commonly, this specific shape, where you have two stones like this and you can throw in on b1. So if you learn to recognize this shape as a snapback, then when you're reading in the initial position, you only have to read sort of this far, and then you know that if white captures, you will be able to recapture them in this way. So that's kind of how we get stronger at problem solving. We learn some shapes so that we can stop our reading earlier, don't have to read out every variation. Let me also repeat the failure variations, put them on the board to make it easier to see. So a2, white will play here, and then Atari, and now b2 is a false eye, so the group is dead. Similarly, b1, now it's important for white here to play c3 and not c1, because if white played c1, it would be the same as the solution, and black would be alive. But instead, white is going to play this Atari. And now black cannot connect here, and if black captures here, it's a false eye. And finally, if c1, white will Atari two stones, and black cannot save the two stones. So the only way for black to live here is to play this one and use this fancy snapback. Hey, hope you liked this video. If you were confused about any of the problems, please leave a comment and I'll try to clarify. And see you in the next one.